Welcome to the Sports Watchdog radio show, hosted by Mason Kern. He keeps his nose to the ground to report on what's trending in professional and college sports, to inform, enlighten, and entertain. And now it's
the Sports Watchdog.
the Sports Watchdog, Mason Kern.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Watchdog radio show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm Mason Kern here with you every Sunday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. and I'm obviously certainly glad you decided to join me this morning. And as always, I do have some great stuff in my kennel. Today we'll be hearing from NBA player turned ESPN analyst Stephen Howard, as well as former MLBer David Wells. I'll also be covering some sports hot topics, and for you basketball specific fans, interesting happenings on the hardwood. Alright, so our first stop in sports hot topics this week takes us to the NFL field, or rather the sideline, because there's a new policy regarding the National Anthem in the NFL. That's right, you heard all the drama last season surrounding Colin Kaepernick and all the other NFL players who were taking a knee, who were kneeling, and then the Pittsburgh Steelers who stayed in the locker room during the National Anthem. Big stories coming out of the league, and it resulted in a drop in ratings. Honestly, the president, Donald Trump, came out and showed his distaste for the NFL players kneeling. I mean, he obviously used some other words, but now the NFL and Roger Goodell have instated new policies for next season regarding the National Anthem that some people are having trouble understanding and really accepting. I mean, So guys, the new policy, what's going to happen is that the NFL is going to require all players to stand during the National Anthem. That's right, it's going to be a requirement. Or the players who don't want to stand for the anthem have the option of being able to stay in the locker room or possibly just not coming out on the field at all during the National Anthem, obviously. So if these players do kneel or show any disrespect for the anthem at all while out on the field, then their team may face fines and they might actually get yardage penalties as well. So, I mean, big debate going on right now as to whether or not that's fair and these policies are okay, and whether or not these are restricting these players' First Amendment. But, I mean, I think the league is just trying to kind of separate football and politics, especially because they saw such a ratings dip last year. But, I mean, we'll see if these new policies work and if there's less drama, less controversy coming out of the NFL. But definitely troubling times within football for sure. All right, we skate on over to the hockey arena now as we are in the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's right, the matchup is set. It is the expansion team, the Vegas Golden Knights, taking on the Washington Capitals. Now, this is a series that I don't think too many people predicted. One, at the start of the season for sure, but two, kind of even heading into the playoffs. Obviously, this Golden Knights team has been electrifying all year long. I mean, nobody thought they would really be as good as they were. Marc-Andre Fleury in the back of the net, I mean, he's kind of led this team with his charisma, with his just unnatural goaltending ability, honestly. And then the offense has been potent for them as well. I mean, they're coming out, they're representing Sin City. Obviously, after that horrible mass shooting happened at that concert, I mean, Vegas really wrapped around, I think, this Golden Knights team, and their success has been amazing to watch, obviously. So, coming out of the Western Conference, this Golden Knights team coming out of Vegas has been just, like I said, electrifying. And now they're going to take on a Washington Capitals team who ends Washington's championship playoff drought after 20 years, guys. No Washington team out of the major sports has been in a championship environment in 20 years, and now the Capitals finally break that. I mean, it was a tough road yet again, having to face the Pittsburgh Penguins, but hey, they were able to get out of that series. Just won a Game 7 series against the Tampa Bay Lightning, And so now they find themselves up against a very good Vegas Golden Knights team. Alex Ovechkin is going to have to pull off some major heroics yet again if he wants to find himself and the Capitals hoisting the Stanley Cup at the end. And obviously, I mean, you have that superstition. I mean, after the Golden Knights won the Western Conference Finals, they went over and they were messing around with the trophy, which, I mean, I've heard rumors about that's not the smartest thing to do. So, I mean, maybe luck is on the Capitals' side this time around. They didn't mess with the Stanley Cup at all. They kind of just took their victory with pride, whatever. I mean, Vegas obviously has never been here before, so it's understandable why they might have wanted to kind of look and feel and hold the trophy a little bit, but I think it'll be a very good series. Electrifying Vegas offense. Alex Ovechkin leading the Capitals offense. Marc-Andre Fleury in the back of the net. It's going to be very difficult for this Capitals team to breach the goal, honestly, with him back there. But, I mean, it's been done, and we'll see who comes out on top. My pick, I've been Vegas Golden Knights all the way. So I am going the Vegas Golden Knights probably in another 6 or 7 game series, guys. I think it'll go the distance, but you have my pick. Let me know what you think about these and other trending sports topics on Twitter at @SportsWatchdog and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at @TheSportsWatchdog as well. But we'll just take a quick break. The Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 will be right back after this.
Want security? The EasyViz Mini O 1080p is an indoor smart home Wi-Fi camera that makes it easy to keep an eye on what's happening in any room at any time. It sends HD video to your smartphone, tablet, or computer. Two-way audio functionality provides instant motion alerts sent to your phone when the camera sees something move. It's a great get under $60. Learn more at us.easyvizlife.com. That's us.easyvizlife.com.
Hey there, and welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is Stephen Howard, former NBA small forward and current ESPN analyst. Stephen went undrafted in the 1992 NBA draft, but through perseverance and hard work, made it onto his first NBA roster with the Utah Jazz. He would also play for the San Antonio Spurs and the Seattle Supersonics before his retirement. Stephen now works as a college basketball and NBA analyst for ESPN, using his high basketball IQ to broadcast the sport he loves to the world. So with that, Stephen is here with us today. Hey, Stephen, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much again for coming on, like I said, Stephen. So, first off, what kind of strain mentally and physically as well does it have on these players? They kind of say, hey, I can't make one mistake here, otherwise either I'm going to get benched or my teammates are going to be mad at me, because, like you say, every play is so important. How much of a strain is that on the players, or do these players, do you think, kind of live for the moment?
Well, that's the difference between your championship caliber teams and players and then your great players and then your just good players. But you also have to take into account this is after an 82-game season. So everybody's injured. Everyone's mentally tired. Everyone is, probably tired of your teammates and a lot of stuff. And so that has to be factored into it. And the teams with experience that know how to play that 82-game series and still have something left in the tank, and then the ones that are able to keep mentally strong. And I think that probably affects LeBron a lot, and that's why you hear him complaining every year, I need help, because he wants to have something left in the tank once the playoffs come around.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you mentioned that 82 games. I mean, it's a long, grueling season, and then these players kind of have to turn it up again for the playoffs, but inevitably, obviously, for the goal of winning that NBA Final Larry O'Brien trophy. But I mean, I also think it would kind of come down to coaching styles as well. So how much do you think that has changed in terms of coaching and how these coaches are trying to approach their players and trying to motivate them when it comes to playoff time and train them in practices and such? How do you think their styles and kind of leadership has changed over the past decade from when you played?
They've changed exponentially. When I played, you had more coaches that kind of had an aura about them. They were dominant presence, like a Pat Riley, a Phil Jackson, Lenny Wilkins, Jerry Sloan, who I played for. Now with the exception of really Steve Kerr and Popovich, you have coaches that 80% of them are one really bad season away from losing their job. So they have to be really more cerebral. You can't berate and yell at players anymore, because if Anthony Davis is making $225 million and the coach is making 15 or 20, if there's an issue, they're getting rid of the coach. And so the coaches know that. They know they have to keep these players happy, but you also have to be the leader of the team, and you have to discipline. And so that's where it's tough for them, where you have to have a really strong front office to back you up. And you always see the problems with the Cavaliers because, I mean, what are you going to tell LeBron? And so you have to kind of pick and choose your battles, but the best coaches are the ones that have that same leadership style for the 15th player on the bench as well as the top player. But that's, it's easier said than done.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in today's league, I mean, especially with these players making such massive contracts and then the coaches obviously not really getting paid nearly as much as their stars, they're going to let go of the coaches first, like you say. And that kind of leads me to my next question, where Toronto, the Raptors come into this season, into the playoffs as the number one seed, then they get swept by the Cavaliers, who were the lower seed, and then Dwayne Casey loses his job. And he won Coach of the Year, I think either last year or 2 years ago. So, I mean, was that because of his leadership style, or is that really just because he couldn't beat LeBron in the playoffs? What went wrong, do you think, for him?
There's a lot of mitigating factors with that. I think Coach Casey's an exceptional coach. He was an assistant coach when I was with the Seattle Supersonics. He actually was the defensive coach. But you have to really look at the players. And really, when a coach gets fired, it's the front office shifting the blame to the coach. And a coach can only coach the players that you're giving him. And, really, you look at Golden State. They built their team off of the draft from 2009. They got Curry, Thompson, Draymond, Barnes. And then they just surrounded him, or that core, with ancillary players. But you look at the Raptors, and all I have to do is look at one post-game interview with DeRozan and Lowry, and you see DeRozan, the best player on the team, and he defers. He's a nice guy, sensitive guy, all-star, but he's not a guy that's going to win you a championship because you have to have a guy that does not care if he's not liked, doesn't worry if he's hurting other players' feelings on the team. But DeRozan is, making sure everybody is feeling loved, doesn't want to say anything about, shooting 41 times. And you would see Kyle Lowry, trying to goad it out of him. Like, dude, you shot 41 shots, or you scored 41, like, you're the man. But he didn't really want to take that mantle. And that's part of that culture. And Casey cannot change. He can develop a mentality, but you can't change a mentality. And for me, that is the issue. And also, you look at DeRozan, the most free throws he shot the last 5 games were 4. And your leader has to do whatever it takes. And you look at the great players in the NBA, Jordan, Malone, all the guys, they know that they got to get to the line because you're fouling guys out, you're getting in the bonus, you're doing so many things, and your best player shooting, averaging, 3.8 free throws per game in the playoffs. That's not going to cut it. And he's a great free throw shooter, so there's no excuse at all.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when those are free baskets, you should be trying to get those whenever you can. I definitely agree. Now, you mentioned rebuilding through the draft, and the Warriors obviously did a great job with that, and now they have been the best team in basketball for the last 4 or 5 years. So, shifting over now to this upcoming NBA draft, obviously the draft lottery was just finalized, and the teams were kind of placed for the lottery. So Phoenix ended up getting the number 1 pick. So who do you think the Suns should take in the draft this year now that they do have that number 1 pick, knowing that they just hired Kokoskov as their coach and he has such ties to Luka Doncic? A lot of people are saying maybe they'll take him over DeAndre Ayton, but who would your number 1 pick be for the Suns and why?
And I know that the sexy pick right now is Ayton, played at Arizona. Personally, I really like Marvin Bagley III, and I look at that kind of Anthony Davis-style prototype. He's long, he's athletic, he can affect both sides of the court. NBA is a pick-and-roll league right now. He's going to be able to defend the pick-and-roll. He can guard 3 positions comfortably, can switch out on a 2 for time being, can guard a point guard on a pick-and-roll situation before help gets. He's athletic. He's got a motor, which is, you can't coach motor. High basketball IQ, good guy. That's who I would go with because of his athleticism, because of the up-and-down athletic style. It's a point guard league right now. And I just think that, and I think Aiden's going to be a great player as well, but I think building around a guy like Marvin Bagley that, can play the 4 or the 5, doesn't really have the body for the 5 right now, but he's going to put on some weight. I think he has a higher upside, great work ethic. That's who I would go with.
Interesting. There are other names circling for sure. Obviously, we keep hearing the Doncic and Ayton at number 1 debate, but you mentioned Marvin Bagley third. There's also Jaren Jackson, and so I think the beginning half of this lottery definitely is going to be very interesting. But as we are in the Western Conference Finals, NBA Eastern and Western Conference Finals right now for the playoffs, can I get your NBA playoffs prediction? Who do you think is going to hoist the Larry O'Brien Trophy when it's all said and done?
Like Draymond Green said, the championship goes through the Bay. So I think it goes through the Bay. So if I was betting, I would put my money on Golden State without hesitation.
Well, there you go, guys. That was Stephen Howard's NBA Finals prediction. Golden State takes it again. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for your time. Where can our listeners go to get more info or just to connect with you?
On Instagram, at Stephen Howard, STEPHEN Howard. On Twitter, at Stephen_speaks. You can check me out on my website, StephenHoward.com. But yeah, I'm around out on the dark web. I'm out there.
Well, there you go, guys. Make sure to hit up Stephen Howard on all those socials. Thank you so much again, Stephen. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 will be right back after this short break.
For those seeking serious skills on the green, up your game with Blast Motion Golf, the world's most accurate and consistent real-time motion capture technology for driving and putting. This removable Bluetooth-connected motion sensor attaches to a driver or putter shaft. It analyzes and records putts and full swings for 8 hours, allowing users to quantify progress, view video highlights, and share videos via social networks. Learn more at blastmotion.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is New York Yankees legendary pitcher David Wells. As number 33 for the Yankees, David pitched a perfect game on May 17th, 1998, and won a World Series championship later that year. He's one of the 23 pitchers in MLB history to have thrown a perfect game. David was a 3-time All-Star in 1995, 98, and 2000, a 2-time World Series champion in 1992 and 98, the ALCS MVP in 98, and AL wins leader in 2000. Now, Boomer, as he is called, and his wife Nina are giving back to the community as founders of the Perfect 33 Foundation. So with all of that, David is here. Welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. So glad you could join us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much again, David. So first off, what really is the Perfect 33 Foundation? What really is it all about?
It's about helping our military guys, Navy SEALs, who I live in Coronado, I live right by Coronado in San Diego, and Coronado is where, Buds is at, and they train. I'm friends with a lot of these guys, but I'm not going to discriminate with military people who I need to get in and get their heads examined, because it's for traumatic brain injury is basically what I'm trying to do. Get these treatments to, make them better husbands, fathers, wives, mothers, whatever we can do. I've seen the treatments, and it's pretty amazing, the outcome of it. And so that's kind of where I'm really focusing on. But more or less, I help out Little League programs in San Diego, and my high school, where I'm the head coach.
Nice. That definitely seems like a really, really cool initiative that you guys are doing. And when did you start the Perfect 33 Foundation, and why really?
I started it 3 years ago. I was at a friend's house at a party, and there was a couple team guys there, SEAL team guys there, and I was just talking to them. And one of the guys was in town getting help, getting treatment. And I'm like, well, doesn't the VA do it for you? Shouldn't you be doing that? Because he was seeking his own help, and he's like, no. He goes, they don't really help out what what I need. And I'm like, really? So I asked him a bunch of questions through the night, and just really didn't sit well with me. And so the next day I called a couple people that I know. They helped me start the foundation. And so with Mark and Carlene, my wife and I, we started this and started launching. We had to wait for our 501c3. We finally got it, and we've been going to town ever since and just, advocating for, for our military guys and getting the help for them. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, helping people, you say, and that's really what it is all about. I definitely agree. And I mean, obviously, You take us back to the perfect game. What was kind of your mindset before and then during the game as you're kind of going through it?
Well, before the game, it was rough. I was out all night like a dummy. Got to the park and just tried to focus and try to maintain and try to go out there and do my job. And it was a little sketchy at first, but after a couple innings of just getting into a groove, finding my niche, and things just started transpiring, and and it just started getting more and more exciting. Feeding off the crowd, teammates staying away from you. That was kind of nerve-wracking as well. Except for my boy David Cohn, who finally started chirping at me and kind of helping me relax. But still, when you got a perfect game going, there's nothing easy about it. You just try to do the same things over. I was very superstitious, so I kind of just did my own thing, the way I've always done for every start. And the craziest thing happened. I threw a perfect game.
And that really, like I said in the intro, hasn't been done by too many pitchers in the MLB. So you're in an elite group for sure. And I mean, you kind of go through it. And I mean, no hitters are hard to get in the first place, but a perfect game even harder. So what inning did you kind of realize, hey, if I keep this up, I mean, you don't want to get too superstitious and throw yourself off, but hey, I can maybe get this done and actually do this. So what inning do you kind of start to think about that, or do you not even think about it at all?
Well, I heard it in the fourth inning, Michael K., because I went into the clubhouse and grabbed the water. Then I heard him saying it, and I was just like, la, 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 la. I ran out of the room, went down and started doing my thing, but, it was on my mind. I mean, there's no question about it. I knew it was going, but, about the sixth or seventh inning, that's when it really set in, and then it was just trying to keep your composure and not try to do too much. Okay, what did I do last inning? I went out there and nice and relaxed and just threw to Jorge's glove. And that's basically what I did with a little bit more. And as the game started getting towards the end, I tried to hump up on a few pitches, and that's the last thing you want to do. You just want to kind of just keep it even flow, keep your mechanics within, yourself, and just go out there and play catch. And, that's what you have to do.
Just go out there and play catch. I mean, throwing a perfect game, it's pretty impressive for sure. And I mean, you mentioned your teammates a little earlier ago while you were on the mound. So how impactful really are they in that situation? What do you kind of want them to be doing while do you want them to leave you alone? Do you want them to be talking to you? What's kind of the mindset there?
I wanted to talk. I mean, that's how I am. I'm loosey-goosey. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that goes out there and is just intense. I'm pretty relaxed, laid back, and and that's just something. But when you have a perfect game going or a no-hitter, whatever it may be, guys stay away from you. They don't want to jinx you. They don't want to be the cause of the breakup, So that's basically what they did. I knew what they were doing, but it was just, it's kind of, it's kind of intimidating because you're looking for something, you're not getting it, and it's just so the frustration kind of sets in. You just kind of get over it and just go do your own thing.
Exactly. Just do your own thing for sure. And then lastly, once you realize you throw that last pitch, it gets popped up, and then your boy makes the catch. What are your reactions?
Well, it's all a reaction. Fist pumping the ground, jumping up, couldn't, in disbelief that, I just threw a perfect game. And, that's one of the hardest things to do. You dream about those types of things as a kid. But, when reality sat in, it was pretty awesome. Just to see there, then your teammates come running out to you, picking you up, carrying you off the field. That's a memory of a lifetime. That's just called respect from your teammates. They were into it as much as I was. Like I said, those things don't happen very often, and to get those accolades from your teammates was pretty cool. It was a good gesture on their part. So, I reciprocated. I bought everybody in the organization a ring. I had rings made up
Nice.
for everybody, the teammates, coaches, front office. So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Definitely a great event in Major League Baseball history and Yankees history, and especially in your history. Well, David, once again, thank you so much for your time. We definitely really appreciate it. Where can our listeners go to get more info on Perfect 33 or just to connect with you?
Well, I go to the perfect33foundation.org. Time's running out. We start the event here in a few hours. 6:30, I think, we have the cocktail and all that. So it's at Sony Hall here in New York City, I think on 46th, between 8th and 9th, I believe. You can look that up and go to it. There's still tables and tickets available. So, until we shut it down, please come in. We'd love to have you.
Well, there you go, guys. Make sure to go check that out. Once again, David, thank you so much for your time. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 will return after this.
Be prepared for those rainy days with Weatherman, the only umbrella blending unmatched quality with smart technology and ingenious design, led by meteorologist Rick Reckmuth. The Weatherman app pairs with the Pebblebee Bluetooth tracker to detect the forecast, then provides alerts when you need to take your umbrella along. A tracker also ensures you will always know where to find your umbrella when needed. Visit weathermanumbrella.com to learn more.
You ready to hoop it up? This is Happenings on the Hardwood.
All right, guys, as always, at the end of the Sports Watchdog Radio Show here on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060, we're going to pivot on over to the hardwood. That's right, it's time for Happenings on the Hardwood, our special little basketball feature, because as I'm sure you guys have guessed by now, basketball is my favorite sport. Now, we are in the midst of the NBA playoffs. We are in the ending stages of the conference finals. And God, guys, this Western Conference Finals series has been as good as I thought it would be. Houston Rockets, Golden State Warriors. I mean, God, it's just... Okay, at first I'll give it to you guys. It started out with a lot of blowouts, and that was not that fun to watch. I don't like seeing games won by 20, 30, 40 even. But, I mean, the last Game 5, Game 6 were really, really tight. And Houston coming out on top in both of those. I mean, like I said before, Houston is my team who I think is going to win the whole thing this year. And they were able to stake out two extremely close victories that were huge. If they didn't get those, this series probably over by now. And I mean, it just goes to show you the chemistry Chris Paul and James Harden have really built here in Houston. Eric Gordon coming in scoring a ton. Clint Capella down low, the rim protector. I mean, Gerald Green even off the bench. You have so many moving pieces within this Houston Rockets organization that, I mean, I think they have a deeper bench than this Warriors team. Granted, the Warriors had 4 All-Stars. I get that. Their starting lineup is wicked good. Kevin Durant, probably top 2 player in the league right now. Steph Curry, arguably top 5 player in the league right now. Best shooter of all time. Then you have Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, both All-Stars. I mean, lower tier All-Stars, but hey, the All-Stars nonetheless. Come on. And so when you have that kind of starting lineup, I mean, it's kind of hard to fill out your bench. But then you have Andre Iguodala, who's been injured for most of the series. So that has really hurt this Warriors team, and they've had to adapt without him. Then Sean Livingston, a decent backup point guard off the bench. I don't think he gets as much credit as he really deserves. Jordan Bell, the rookie, who's played extremely well. David West, who not many people talk about anymore. Then you have their centers, JaVale McGee, Zaza Pachulia, 2 very decent players who can contribute when needed. So obviously, the Warriors have been the best basketball team in years for a reason, but now I think it's kind of the passing of the torch, and maybe the Rockets won't be the best team ever like this Warriors team has been stacked up to be, but I mean, I think this Rockets team can definitely beat this Warriors team in this 7-game series and move on to the finals. And if they do, I mean, I've been saying it all along, guys, it doesn't matter who comes out of the East. I get it. Cleveland, good team. Boston, pretty good team. And I do think Boston finds their way out of this series as well. But the Warriors and the Rockets are both better than the Cavaliers and the Celtics. It's just as simple as that. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Anybody wanting to connect with me, the Sports Watchdog, on Twitter can do so at @sportswatchdog, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well at the Sports Watchdog. So until next time, keep your eye on the ball.
The Sports Watchdog. The Sports Watchdog, Ace and Kern.